the Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a and everybody, whoa,
Yeah.
can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a monster.
Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly are teaming up, and their latest target will leave you speechless. Ellen DeGeneres, like you've never seen her before. Behind the polished smile and signature dance moves lies a story that's anything but squeaky clean, and Rogan and Kelly aren't pulling punches. From jaw-dropping revelations to laugh-out-loud awkward moments, this is a wild ride to the glittering illusion of one of America's most iconic daytime stars. This isn't your typical celebrity expose. It's an unfiltered, unpredictable deep dive that will make you question everything you thought you knew about Ellen. Buckle up. The tea is piping hot. The drama is real, and the entertainment, off the charts.
It's like a beautiful name, Isis.
Ellen's rough.
Ellen is like an old...
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show.
It led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person.
You know that feeling when someone's image is too perfect, so endlessly sweet, relentlessly charming, it almost feels suspicious? That's Ellen DeGeneres in a nutshell. For years, she ruled daytime TV as the smiling monarch of kindness, the high priestess of be kind, with dance moves as infectious as her warmth. An American sweetheart, untouchable and adored. But just when the fairy tale seemed airtight, enter two media heavyweights, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly. Together, they're pulling back the curtain, poking at the polished veneer with fearless curiosity, and asking the questions no one else dared to voice. What's really behind that smile? The answer might just flip everything you thought you knew. And it's not all sunshine and dance breaks.
It's so weird when you see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that's people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a bitch, right? You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they
Dogs
have like
around them.
That's right, Joe Rogan, the no-nonsense podcast titan known for asking questions others won't, and Megyn Kelly, the sharp-tongued journalist with a knack for cutting through spin, have teamed up for one of the most unexpected media pairings in recent memory. Their target? Ellen DeGeneres and her famously polished persona. What began as simple curiosity quickly unraveled into a whirlwind of uncomfortable truths, eyebrow-raising stories, and moments so awkward they're almost too funny to believe. If you thought Ellen's brand was untouchable, think again. Because when Rogan and Kelly start digging, the surface shine doesn't stand a chance, and nothing stays picture perfect for long.
I have a question for you on this. This is perfect for you. Because I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, I had this birthday party, and Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off and then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person.
Let's start with Joe Rogan, the human cultural x-ray machine whose podcast has become ground zero for cutting through the noise. Nothing escapes his radar, especially not a public image that feels a little too perfect. So when Rogan sets his sights on Ellen DeGeneres, the so-called poster child for kindness, you know something's brewing. Picture him, arms crossed, wearing that signature skeptical stare, wondering how the endlessly nice, dance-loving TV darling lines up with the behind-the-scenes whispers that have been swirling for years. Rogan has a sixth sense for when a story doesn't match the vibe, and when that instinct kicks in, things get interesting fast.
All these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Yeah.
She's got a Netflix special. And here's the capper. On the promo, and apparently there's now articles out about from people who have seen the preview, she plays the victim.
Joe Rogan didn't come at Ellen with tabloid energy. This wasn't a cheap shot at a celebrity. What he delivered felt more like cultural archaeology, carefully peeling back the layers of persona America had embraced for years. He sifted through industry whispers and the stories passed in hushed tones down Hollywood hallways, unearthing accounts of a workplace environment that clashed hard with the sunny, smiling brand Ellen had built. Instead of joy and warmth, the picture that emerged was one of tension, fear, and smiles worn like armor. The same woman who told the world to be kind and danced through life was now being reimagined as a boss presiding over a space that felt cold, even hostile. But Rogan didn't stop with Ellen. He zoomed out, turning her story into a lens on something much bigger, a celebrity culture that sells morality and warmth like product on a shelf. In Rogan's view, Ellen became the symbol of how kindness can be commodified, packaged, and mass-marketed until it's hollow. When public virtue becomes a branding tool and the reality behind the curtain doesn't match the script, disillusionment hits hard. Rogan pulled no punches, shining a light on the widening gap between image and authenticity, and asking the uncomfortable question: what happens when being nice is just part of the act?
Have they made progress with the strike?
They're picketing right now, so I think it's the early stages. I would think it might take a little bit with this one.
When someone crosses the writer strike, that's some dirty shit. They cross the picket line.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody doing that yet.
I think Ellen did. I had a buddy of mine who was writing on Ellen. Everybody kind of knows now what she's really all about. And that's another one of those. Like, press. I'm so nice and I'm so sweet. Mean behind the scenes.
Think Joe Rogan's deep dive was enough to shake things up? That was just the opening act. Enter Megyn Kelly, coming at the Ellen empire from completely different, yet equally devastating, angle. While Rogan unraveled the cultural mythology, Kelly zeroed in on the operational engine powering Ellen's brand. She wasn't interested in celebrity fluff or surface-level contradictions. She aimed her investigative lens straight at the structure behind the smile. Forget the dancing and daytime charm for a moment. Kelly focused on machinery. Corporate decisions, internal complaints, lawsuits, and the mounting workplace allegations that rarely get airtime in puff pieces or polished press tours. She wasn't wearing soft gloves. She came in with sharp questions and even sharper contrasts. Kelly drew a clear line between Ellen's public mantra of be kind and the high-pressure, behind-the-scenes environment allegedly unfolding backstage. What emerged wasn't a world of warm fuzzies, but one marked by stress, burnout, and a relentless push to perform. The very environment churning out cheerful television was, by some accounts, eroding the well-being of those making it happen, and the staff concerns that had long been ignored or dismissed. Kelly laid them out with surgical clarity, exposing a gap so wide it didn't just tarnish the brand. It reframed it entirely as a cautionary tale.
And she says, for me, and she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person
with $100 million in her pocket,
$450 million according to Forbes. That's a low estimate.
Yeah.
Because so now she's out there saying, I was run out of Hollywood. She's actually reportedly complaining about how hard it is for women in America with the double standards.
Look at Oprah, how hard it is for her.
Oh, she's got, like 10 houses, Ellen DeGeneres?
Michelle Obama, look how hard it is for women in America. They're hurting.
They're going to let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows.
Megyn Kelly didn't just hold Ellen's brand to fire. She called out the media for fanning the flames while pretending not to see the smoke. Her critique extended beyond one celebrity and dug into machinery that shields them. Mainstream outlets had tiptoed around Ellen's controversies, choosing to protect a feel-good image instead of challenging it. But Kelly wasn't interested in preserving illusions. She dragged those contradictions into the light, not to stir scandal for scandal's sake, but to expose the often ignored human reality buried beneath celebrity branding. This wasn't tabloid fodder. It was a sharp dissection of the gap between performance and personhood. Now imagine that paired with Joe Rogan's raw, skeptical take. The result? A 1-2 punch that blended cultural commentary with hard-hitting investigation. Rogan laid the groundwork, dismantling the public mythos with his signature no BS approach. Then Kelly followed up with the receipts, unpacking the corporate machinery and media complicity that kept the Ellen empire running smoothly for so long. This wasn't about personal attacks or drumming up drama for clicks. It was about asking the questions no one else dared to and peeling back the layers of narrative that had gone unchallenged for years. The outcome? a far less pristine image of Ellen, and a far more urgent conversation about how we engage with fame. Because the real takeaway here stretches beyond Ellen. It's about how we, as a culture, digest celebrity. We're quick to believe the polished narrative, to accept a slogan as a soul. But sometimes behind the kindness, there's a much messier, more human story, one that challenges our assumptions and, if we're paying attention, makes us think twice about the stories we choose to believe.
Look at it.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? It's a similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
But just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background.
Let's be clear. This wasn't some petty takedown or mean-spirited witch hunt. What Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly did felt more like pulling back the velvet curtain on a dazzling magic act. Sure, the sparkle was real, but so were the smoke and mirrors. Their approach wasn't driven by outrage. It was more like that brutally honest friend who pauses mid-conversation and says, asterisk, wait, are we really buying this? Asterisk is the kind of truth that stings, catches you off guard, and because it's also absurdly human, makes you laugh just a little. So where does that leave Ellen DeGeneres? Her once shining, be kind crown has taken a few undeniable dents. An immaculate kingdom of daytime TV she ruled now feels more like a set from behind-the-scenes docudrama. Audiences may start watching those iconic dance moves and warm, TV-ready smiles with a more skeptical eye. And maybe, just maybe, this will force other public figures to reconsider the belief that branding kindness can shield them from scrutiny. Because if Ellen's story proves anything, it's this. No slogan, no matter how heartwarming, is a bulletproof vest against the truth. The most striking part? Rogan and Kelly didn't need a dramatic face-off with Ellen to shift the narrative. No explosive interviews, no viral Twitter threads, no messy public feud. Just sharp questions, thorough research, and the willingness to say what others wouldn't. In an age where drama often overshadows substance, they made their mark with quiet precision. And that, ironically, might be the loudest call out of all.
Her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
Well, I think everyone... I will say, like, the resentment, I think everyone should have a chance for reconciliation. I don't think Jesus exempted anybody. And so I do, while it does, because I have been allowed back in, but it's, I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to know, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen, to get over it.
Here's the real kicker about the Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly double whammy, exposing Ellen DeGeneres. It's way bigger than just spilling celebrity tea. When two powerhouse voices from entirely different corners of media collide, whether by design or coincidence, they break straight through the usual echo chamber, the one where celebrity narratives are either worshipped without question or quietly swept under the rug. Think about it. Joe Rogan, the counterculture titan who built a podcast empire by giving fighters, thinkers, and fringe voices a platform, always standing firm on skepticism and raw curiosity. Then there's Megyn Kelly, the polished, razor-sharp journalist known for slicing through political spin and PR smokescreens with surgical precision. Put them together, and it's like tossing a boulder into a perfectly still pond. Forget ripples, you get a cultural tsunami. Rogan brings his signature, don't buy the branding mindset, the same one his audience has trusted for years to peel back the gloss and get to the gritty truth. Kelly complements that with her journalistic precision, diving into lawsuits, internal documents, and first-hand accounts to build a picture that's clear, sharp, and hard to ignore. Together, they didn't just expose a single celebrity narrative. They cracked open a whole illusion, redefining how we look at fame, media, and the power of a well-crafted public image.
Stephen Paddock, and do not ask me for sources, but Stephen Paddock.
Who's that?
He was the guy that shot up the Vegas concert. That was a very tragic thing. Listen to this. The only guy that saw Stephen Paddock alive, his name is Jesus Campos. He was a guard at Mandalay Bay. He got interviewed nowhere else. You know where he got interviewed in the beginning? Ellen.
Really?
Weird. And then they went on, if you could find that clip, they went on with a weird like diagram of how it happened, and Ellen's like showing the people how it happened. Not like an emotional, like how are you feeling, how are you holding up. It was a weird diagram of like, and then he went to the left and to the right. It was very strange to, look, what the hell's going on? This is
So-
a daytime show.
Together, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly have created a powerful feedback loop, one that shakes the very foundation of celebrity worship. And why does that matter? Because audiences aren't content to just sit back and sip popcorn anymore. Thanks to the sharp, unfiltered spotlight these two bring, a fresh wave of curiosity and skepticism is crashing over how we perceive the stars we once accepted at face value. People are starting to ask tougher questions. How much of what we see is just polished PR? How authentic is the kindness that's so heavily marketed by entertainment's biggest names? Suddenly, the idea of celebrities as flawless, saintly icons feels outdated, maybe even naive. This isn't just Ellen DeGeneres' dilemma. It's a sign of a broader cultural shift. Fans are demanding more than perfection. They want authenticity. Even if it's messy, they want stories that peel back the curtain and reveal the human complexity behind the spotlight. And that new level of scrutiny is cracking open the celebrity bubble, exposing the wide gulf between public image and private truth. What's most fascinating is how this forces a collective rethinking, not just who we admire, but how we consume fame itself. When a Be Kind mantra feels more like a branding strategy than a real philosophy, it stops being inspiring and starts sounding like a pitch. People aren't just laughing or gasping at the drama anymore. They're pausing to reflect on what authenticity really means in an age of filters, catchphrases, and curated personas. And here's the kicker. None of this needed a meltdown, a walk-off, or a Twitter war. No shouting matches. No public blow-ups. Just sharp analysis, compelling storytelling, and the kind of quiet skepticism that makes you think instead of scroll. It's a refreshing break from the noise and a sign that something deeper is finally taking hold.
Lesbian.
that should tell you
uniform.
something.
Yeah.
Like, that's an odd look with all those buttons. Like, why do you have so many wrist buttons?
It was given to her in Langley.
The only reason why you have that many wrist buttons if you're looking at clothesline somebody.
Yeah,
Leave a
look at
mark
her.
on
Look at
their
her.
neck.
Everyone says she looks so friendly. She looks friendly.
She does look very military.
Yeah, she's a militant woman.
With a very expensive watch.
She
too.
dealt with a lot of discrimination, which it came out. It was very sad, but then she joined the CIA.
Her house got broken into while she was at home.
Really?
Yeah. She got a dope place in Montecito.
And so, and they broke in while she was there.
Yeah.
And those people are still being tortured to this day.
Probably.
They're still in an underground jail.
Instead of fueling petty public spats, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly showed that it's possible to expose contradictions, question narratives, and hold high-profile figures accountable with intelligence and nuance. Their approach made the conversation not only weighty and thought-provoking, but also entertaining and captivating. This wasn't about cheap drama. It was about cutting through the noise and demanding clarity. Looking ahead, this level of scrutiny could spark a wave of change in the celebrity world. Fans who once followed Ellen's every move without question may start applying the same critical eye to other seemingly flawless stars. The spotlight is now poised to shine on the messy, complex realities hiding behind polished public images, making it much harder for any curated persona to slip by unnoticed. This could mark the beginning of a new era in celebrity culture, one where authenticity is no longer a buzzword, but a non-negotiable expectation. Perhaps that's why Ellen's nice empire feels shaky now. Audiences are tired of kindness as a costume and want something far more human and real. The impact of Rogan's counterculture edge combined with Kelly's journalistic rigor goes beyond dragging Ellen to the mud. It's a cultural reset. It's a wake-up call for all of us who have blindly swallowed celebrity PR. What they've called for is better stories, real people behind personas, and far less polished perfection flooding our screens. And honestly, that feels far more satisfying than any scripted reality TV drama ever could.
All people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure she's fine.
At the end of the day, this saga is a powerful reminder that in a world obsessed with image, the truth has a way of slipping out, especially when unexpected voices like Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly step in to shine a light. If Ellen's legacy takes a hit in the process, maybe that's exactly what needed to happen. Sometimes, the price of progress is exposing cracks in our favorite fairy tales, peeling away the gloss until a real story can finally shine through. So, next time you see someone preaching kindness from a stage or screen, take a moment to wonder what's happening behind the curtain. Often, the brightest smiles conceal the messiest secrets, and it takes fearless voices like Rogan and Kelly to remind us that authenticity matters more than any polished performance ever could.